Mongolia is the frozen edge of China. Here, winter lasts 9 months and temperature plunges to -50.
To understand how people live here, we crossed the endless steppe, explored bizarre border towns, drove on frozen lakes, and pushed until we reached the coldest place in China.
We weren't here just for the extreme weather. We came to track down the Aologuya, China's last reindeer herders, learn how they're adapting to modern life, and what it takes to live in one of the world's coldest forests.
Our journey started with a very frozen train ride that took us right at the border between Russia, China, and Mongolia. In Manzhouli, a city that is quite unique.
They built this whole Russian themed park thing with these two giant hotels that are shaped like matryoshka, obviously to, capitalize on the closeness to Russian identity and to bring domestic tourists here. But this place is just incredible. I have never seen something like this. We're inside the matryoshka's belly. I really didn't expect it to be like this.
No, it's like,
from far away. Like,
very extra.
It's very extra, yeah. This hotel is part of Matryoshka Square, which is something they built in 2016 to celebrate, all the different identities that are here. So you would see Russian matryoshkas, but with like Mongolian faces or Chinese features to sort of celebrate the mix, which wasn't really needed because already in town you see Russian-looking buildings with Mongolian script and Chinese script.
But to understand the economy of this city, we need to move past these tourist traps and go to the border.
Russia is just a few meters across there. This border obviously meant a lot in terms of trade between the two countries. Still today, it witnessed a very interesting phenomenon. After the fall of the Soviet Union, a lot of Russian people, including teachers, doctors, government functionaries, they all lost their salaries. They had to come up with a way to make a living, and they became chilnoki or shuttlemen, meaning they would come across with big suitcases, fill them up with Chinese goods that they could buy here cheaper, and then sell them for a higher price in Russia. So they became trade people. And today we have logistics, big shipping containers coming through trains, and this is still a major trading hub between Russia and China.
But business lately hasn't been great.
Now there's more border town open for trading, so like people are also moving to the other places. So meaning less business here. After the COVID, compared to now, like the population almost halved. Because back in the days it was like 150,000 people here, but now it's only less than 90,000. In 2023, they were still in hard quarantine because it's border town. Back in the days, this was built for hosting weddings, but now it's completely abandoned.
After heading downtown, we checked into a traditional Russian hotel, and the way it's positioned says a lot about what Russian tourists come here for.
Our hotel building is connected to a bazaar. We just saw people going back here with bags, so we came in here. Like, wow. I guess this is where people are shopping as well.
That's where a lot of Russians come here to buy stuff.
Apart from Russian, there's a large group of Mongol.
It's interesting. You have the shop owners sitting outside of the shops. When you pass in front of the shop, they try to get your attention, and automatically you're gonna speak Russian to me because I guess I look like Russian, and they would assume I'm Russian.
We've also seen like electronic shops selling like Russian electronics with the plugs and the keyboard and everything.
With the sanctions, there's a big markup on electronics in Russia, and it's probably cheaper for people at least who are in Siberia or in the east to just pop across the border and buy stuff here.
Of course, around here, on top of tourists filling their bag, you can find authentic, delicious Russian food, including borscht and pelmeni. And the atmosphere and entertainment in the restaurants are also top-notch. But the most mind-blowing thing to see around here is outside of the city, and to get there you have to go on a pretty rough and slippery ride.
Exactly, on the moon it's 2,300 square kilometers of nothingness. This is the Hulun Lake. It's the biggest lake in northern China, and it is the cradle of civilization here, because obviously a massive body of fresh water in the middle of the steppe, in the middle of the grassland. It is a refuge for hundreds of species of birds. It's full of marine life, and it's been feeding the people around here forever. People call it the pearl of the grassland.
Around December, they do the ice fishing. The way they fish, they drill the holes and they put this strange shaped net. It's a very long net. So they put the net through one hole and then pull it from the other side. So all this way they would capture fish in the net and then pull them out. They would also do auctions, and there was like one fish this year. They auctioned it for millions of RMB. All the different clans in the northern part, like this part, including the Mongols, they all came here to establish civilizations, because this is basically the center of civilizations, and they were saying whoever took over this lake would take the whole northern territory.
And one of those clans, the Konjirat, was a very important clan in Mongol history. They were pretty much almost ruling without any military. They used beauty. They got the reputation for having the most beautiful women among all the Mongol tribes. They basically leaned in on that reputation heavily. They made sure that everyone knew that. So every ruler, every king, emperor of the Mongol tribes, including Genghis Khan and his grandson Kublai Khan, married a woman from that tribe, and all the emperors of the Yuan dynasty also were married from the tribe. So it's the ultimate soft power, just white wherever you look, and you can walk on the ice without worrying because the ice is so thick. It's 1 meter, 1.5 meters. So we're gonna go down there and have some fun now.
After another long train ride through the steppe, we were ready to start our road trip towards the coldest place in China.
We arrived in Hailar. We're gonna do about 100 something kilometers today. We're gonna stop in a small village on the way. And we just got confirmation that there is a heated garage, luckily, that we can use.
A lot of the hotels, they probably only have 2 or 3 positions for the car in the heated garage. I called a few they don't have, but finally we found one.
Below a certain temperature, the oil gets too dense and the car wouldn't start.
And also the battery.
And the battery has problems. Yeah, let's go and see how it's driving through the steppe. When people live for a few days, if they don't have a heated garage, that's what they would do. They would put this sort of thick blanket all around the car. First, they would remove the battery and bring it home so the battery doesn't completely, discharge. If that's not enough, when they come back and the oil has gotten too solid to start, they would then have a sort of like radiator and put it under the engine and wait for a while, sometimes even 1 hour or more, and check until the oil is liquid enough to try and jumpstart the car. So this is really like, it's tough even to drive around.
When it came to dinner, obviously we chose the hottest thing we could find.
Look at this lamb roll. Apparently these taste really good, like nothing else you've tasted before. Now the water's boiling, we're just straight in. I normally hate lamb because how it tastes like. Let's try this. It tastes so good. No strange lamb taste. The sesame sauce is like a special sauce here, and they make it here on the spot. So everything's fresh. The sesame tastes so fragrant. It's insane.
This is something very special. We talked about it in the Harbin video. So sometimes you go to these very cold places and you'll see they leave tofu outside to basically freeze in the morning market, etc. But that's actually very good for Hotpot because it gives the tofu this very spongy texture. You know when you squish a sponge, that's what happens in your mouth. It releases all the broth and the flavor. Wow, delicious, but really hot. It's hotter than anything else because it really soaks up and retains the heat and the broth. So good. So we were on our way to Genhe, which is the coldest place in China, but we discovered that there is a small village inhabited by the Hulun, which is the Russian ethnic minority here in China. There are only 16,000 of them, and this village apparently it's all Russian people. So we're gonna make an extra stop there to see how these Russians live here in China, which is very exciting. The drive here is insane. Like I love going around this absolutely totally white landscape. It's otherworldly.
It's quite empty. There's like a few cars, but I think they're all locals. And I see like restaurants and Airbnbs look like they're closed.
Nothing is open. We checked out 2 or 3 different cafes on maps and we passed by, but everything is closed.
Well, now it's kind of low season. A lot of the Airbnbs are closed, but there are still ones that's open.
Нет, нет, я же итальянец, но я чуть-чуть говорю, чуть-чуть говорю по-русски. Да, да. Я изучал русский в университете. Но я долго не говорил. We're staying in this little wood cabin. We went around town. Looks like nothing is open.
It is remote. I didn't expect it so empty. I thought at least something would be opening.
It doesn't happen a lot in China to have a place that it's a complete ghost town like this. It's nice.
And we saw some other tourists, like they seems to be like, you know, walking, and I thought they know what they're doing. We asked them, they were like, actually, we also didn't expect it's so empty, so we're leaving. But I paid for the room already, so like,
just as lost.
We're gonna stay.
Turns out staying was a great idea. One of the few people stay in the village all year is a horse ranger who was more than happy to give us a ride.
If he doesn't dip it in water, the temperature is too low because it's iron, so it would stick to the mouth, you know, when it's very cold.
Oh my god, this place is insane. But the horse riding was amazing. But after we entered the birch forest, after we got out of the birch forest, it opened onto a plain and there was this really freezing wind hitting us in the face. And as you can see, wow, this is incredible. I can't wait to get in. Uncomfortable, painful, but one of them was beautiful experiences of this trip, and we didn't even plan on stopping in this Russian village.
Locals here are the opposite of their environment. They're really warm and welcoming. Fun fact, in this little village everyone has their own well and the water has so much iron that it smells like blood.
Since there's not many food places open, and we searched an Airbnb that has like the host basically cook for their guests, and I called them. I was like, can you also cook for us? We have nowhere to eat. So they were like, okay, we have Hotpot. So now we're here having Hotpot. Land Hotpot.
Very home style hotpot.
Yeah, it's home style and it's really nice.
And it's very nice of them that, you know, in their Airbnb they're cooking for us even if we're not staying as guests.
Yeah.
It's super lovely. It's a little like family home. It's the first time ever in China someone serves us bread. And turns out the bread, her mom made it because she's a baker, so it's proper homemade Russian style bread.
Not only the food was great, but our host spent the night telling us more about life in the village and showing us how tight their community is. Turns out the guy from the horse ranch is also a great dancer. On the next day we were ready for the last leg of our journey, finally reaching Genhe, the coldest place in China.
The coldest place in China. It is called Genhe. It has the lowest temperature recorded in China history, which is -58. It has the most days the temperature goes below -40. Winter time is very long here. Only 3 months in a year they don't have heating in the house. Let's go around and see what's going on.
It's quite festive feeling as well.
Yeah, I didn't expect so many people. Actually, as we drove into the town, I felt already more people walking on the street. Also because these days are kind of warmer days and the sun is really good. So people, I guess, they come out. But it's also close to Chinese New Year. And hence all the, you know, lanterns and the lights on the street, and people are coming out to buy stuff because in a couple of days, everybody gonna go home to the countryside. Maybe like there's not gonna be the morning market. The vendor sounds pumped because they're like selling hard for the Chinese New Year. And we're about to enter this, veggie market. Let's see what's
Veggie market, obviously, I guess it's indoors because otherwise the veggie would get frozen, right?
Whoa.
Whoa.
This is super typical to prevent winds coming in.
These more like room temperature places for meat. I guess they don't want to sell frozen meat. They want meat to be
More fresh.
more fresh.
Yeah.
And pig head, I've never seen so many pig head in a Chinese market.
They do braise the pig face and they would eat the skin.
Oh.
So that's a dish. Also the ears.
People are so lovely and everyone
Yeah.
keeps saying, oh, you're lucky you came on warmer days. It's just like, for my standard it's still freezing, but I guess it's
but
warm.
but they were like, 2 weeks ago it was really cold. Evening time it hits -50 or something.
If you've been to China, you should know that like it's full of e-bikes and scooters from all the delivery guys, but here you don't see any because it's too cold to drive a scooter. So they have this tricycles. Usually in China most cars are EVs and a few gasoline cars. Here's the opposite because the battery in this cold of an EV can't
Wouldn't
make it
last,
at all.
yeah.
So of course it makes more sense. And the atmosphere, I gotta say, it's lovely. Like I'm
lovely,
very
yeah.
happy about this morning market. I'm very surprised. It's very festive.
Many people along the side of the road start to sell the paper money that people burn for their deceased relatives. So like they could have money for a good holiday as well. Genhe is located in the Daxing'an territory. It is the biggest original forest in China. It's a unique mix of the Siberian taiga and the Manchurian flora. So this forest gave birth to many different culture, especially those northern hunting tribal culture. You also find volcanic activities in the earth crust. So you find non-frozen rivers, and this is one of it.
This forest is also the birthplace of the Mongols. The ancestors, the proto-Mongols, all lived in these forests before, they went westward and conquered the steppe and learned to become great warriors on horses, leading to Genghis Khan conquering basically a third of the landmass of the planet. But the ancestors, they were living all in this area before migrating west.
But we're here to learn about another unique culture that moved out of the forest just a few decades ago.
So this Evenki Aologuya tribe have a very complicated history because their population started dwindling over time for a number of factors. Wolf attacks in the forest, inbreeding because there's not many of them, and crazy wild deforestation and logging. So towards the early 2000s, the government decided to stop the logging to protect the forest. So they designated the forest as a protected area, but also moved them out of the forest, and they built settlements like this. So these are like small towns for Aologuya people with their houses made of wood and the heating. But obviously there is also a very different way of living for them.
刚来时候不是，
那你更喜欢这儿还是更喜欢之前的地儿？
喜欢老家。
哦，like the old
以前我
settlements.
们可以随便打猎，我老公15多岁就开始打猎，搬到这嘎达就打不了。
打不了了。
到这块儿搬这儿就把枪给收上去，有的不适应，就是不让打猎了，就是
哦
完了就喝了，
哦，喝酒。
对，喝酒就死过了。
哦，
这帮青年没有工作的，凡是分这房子的都是没有工作，就是猎民打猎的、养鹿的，等有工作的都自己买房子上各河。
哦，
这块儿就62户。
那这以后可咋整？我还想，那不都得，那以后这个族不就没了吗？
那是，年轻的没几个，
也有愿意回来的了，就是养鹿啊，或者在山里。
最年轻养鹿就得出这个妞妞，就有我上家鹿好像都没有。
Okay, so this should be the location where the girl told us to come and find her. Jake got out because she's trying to find the place where there's signal to text her because there's no signal here. And there is some trace of human presence. We couldn't find the signal anywhere. Our car can't go further than this. We see some tracks here. But our car started sliding, so we need to keep going by foot. We are just a couple of kilometers from the weather station. They actually registered the lowest temperature in China, -58. It's really freezing. It's really cold here. The car tracks actually end here. Cars turn around, go back. Trying to see if there's footsteps to follow, but nope. I heard some bells in that direction. Alyosha? Alyosha! Of course, in this trip we've been to other cold places, but this is the first time that it hurts, and it's daytime. Can't imagine at night. There's no trace of her. We're gonna back up a little bit with the car and try to see if we can contact her with the phone somehow. We made it. Ni hao. Nice. Yeah, we're gonna heat up a little bit in their cabin, and then we're gonna learn a little bit about them and how they live here, because it is impressive. They look so comfortable, and it is.
She was explaining the local people set traps in the forest, and one of her reindeer got trapped, and they were looking for him for like 3 days. 那你们为什么选在这儿，而不是在那个阿鲁古雅那边了？
那个地方只是一个山下的定居点。像小区一样。那你要是养这个驯鹿，为了让它们生活得更好，然后我们要把它放在这种森林里面。是这样，它的存在本身在我们祖先第一眼看到它，那当然是肯定是打猎的途中。我们的祖先发现它很聪明，它成群，它是群居动物，那它容易被驯服，它很有灵性，像狗一样，容易跟人亲近，那就驯化它，让它帮我们驮猎物驮人，它是这样开始跟我们在一起存在，一起生活。第一个，我们全国禁猎，不能打猎，它不用驮猎物，没有猎物让它驮。那现在大家都发展旅游业，那它是很稀奇的一个动物，比较猎奇。那它现在对我来说呢，我不太想把它称作为家人，因为有的时候我还是要利用它赚钱，所以它像我的父母、我的祖辈给我留的礼物一样。因为我要保证跟他在一起生活，然后我还要保证自己呢有营收。所以我找到了一个两全的办法。我的父辈他们都是猎人，那他们其实突然搬迁，他们的影响是最大的。狩猎是他们的工作，那后期你不让狩猎了，相当于他们的工作消失了，那他们需要在这个社会里面寻找一个新的工作，而且这个很难。因为他们一生都没有接触过其他的工作。那在搬到根河之前，其实钱没有现在那么重要。因为你要是吃东西，你可以打猎，你甚至可以用猎物来换一些你想要的东西。所以当时没有那么多身外之物。然后你只要维持正常的生活。那我们搬家过来，因为开始禁猎了，你需要融入这个社会，像大家一样，你要工作呀，你要上班呐，这样。所以他一时间，你作为一个像原始社会的人过渡到现在
就是去到大城市或者怎么样，就以后这个民族就可能没了。就是你们有聚集在一起说怎么能保存这个事情吗？
没有，我们大家都以我的出发点是尽量做好现在的工作，现在的生活。那至于以后的话，
没想那么远。
对，我没有想那么远。我们都只想做好眼下。你要说文化流失，我觉得从现在倒推到20年前，它已经在流失了一部分，但是同时呢，也做出了更好的改变。比如说我们的生活水平有很大的提升。像以前，到冬天没有那么好的保暖的屋子呀、房子呀这样。那现在是这一点，对于我来说的话还是很好。那至于未来的话，我相信不只是我们个人啊，我觉得会有很多机构啊，这样会做出他们眼里的一些保护措施。所以我想努力的接待游客，不仅也只是为了赚钱，然后就是把这个驯鹿啊，包括我们民族的一些文化，尽量的宣传一下。我挺想去一个比较暖和的地方，对，因为这边冬天实在是太冷，然后时间又太长，那可能在我老了的时候，老年生活，也许吧。
Watching Alyosha blending her reindeer herding tradition with building a modern business and dreaming of a place in the sun was the most inspiring thing we've seen in Inner Mongolia.
It's easy for outsiders to travel here and romanticize the nomadic life in the past, but authenticity shouldn't mean being forced to freeze in the woods, just so travelers can take a cool photo. She showed us that true survival in the modern world means taking what your ancestor gave you and evolving evolving. She's not the tragic end of a tribe. She is the bridge to its future.
On our next episode, we're heading to Pingyao, a city famous for its perfectly preserved ancient streets. But when we climbed up to nearby Mount Mianshan, we found a 1,000 years old secret. Remains of monks who have defeated nature and mummified their own bodies while still alive. Subscribe because you don't want to miss that one.